Fallout London is one of the most ambitious mods I've ever played, end of quote, reread the line. An entire new location of the franchise with a fresh take on the game's universe that still feels very Fallout. It proves, at least to me, that an outside the US Fallout game can be successful, although Bethesda has indicated that'll likely never happen, at least from them. A riveting, engaging story that begins with you in a mysterious lab and then fighting for your life on the overgrown, destroyed streets of London, trying to uncover the experimentation that brought you to be the Wayfarer. There's fun side content, immersive music with a great main theme, tons of choice and consequence which heavily plays into your build, a darker atmosphere that gives a sense of horror when traveling at night or entering into a poorly lit tunnel, NPCs with personality, a surprisingly professional voice acting cast, unique handcrafted weapons, armor, enemies, factions, and locations, mission and level design that pushes you to figure out things on your own, an increased difficulty which makes encounters more strategic, tense, and engaging, and a massive, and I mean massive, open world with so much things to explore and do. It truly feels like a miracle that something like this even exists, but Fallout London is not perfect by any means. There are a decent amount of quests that feel too fetch questy, some areas that feel confusing with what you're supposed to do, lots of crashing, FPS and loading issues. Technical issues are the main problem right now, some of which I feel Bethesda deserves a lot of blame for it. The consequences of updating a years old game, completely breaking its modding scene and then just not fixing it. We're going to dive more into that later, so you better understand the frustration that many modders are feeling right now, but as it stands, and when it works properly, Fallout London is a triumph. And I truly believe another example of Bethesda needing to do better. It's always felt like Todd Howard and company dislike the comparisons fans make between themselves and Obsidian. That feels like it will evolve now into comparisons to this mod. The work of the community that does feel in certain regards exceeding what Bethesda has ever done with this franchise. And this is coming from someone who just recorded a video looking fondly back at the foundation of Fallout 4. I was wrong with some of my overall criticisms with that game years ago, such as calling it Bethesda's biggest mistake. It's not. That aged poorly. The releases to follow have been far more divisive and controversial. There is a reason why there is skepticism now that this Bethesda team can deliver with the Elder Scrolls 6, a skepticism that also is felt with future BGS Fallouts. It should terrify Bethesda that the community crafted tons of high quality content and a massive explorable world for free, and meanwhile they're selling mediocre buggy quests for $7. Of course, Fallout 76 still does exist, and it's been having some success as of recent, but it still is a far cry from what many gamers and fans want from a Fallout game, something that it appears only modders can be trusted to deliver on in the near future, because Fallout London is the spin-off that many have dreamed of for years. As Metro did this interview recently, the creator of Fallout London did talk to British humor, and he also said they consider it Fallout 4.5. I actually consider it a little bit more than that. There's just so much here that they do, especially with the open world. I love the little sub-districts with their own politics and things going on within them, but there's also quality of life improvements to the franchise. Like, they revamped the dialogue system. It's similar to New Vegas and Fallout 3. They also revamped perks and skills as well. There's climbable ladders in a Bethesda game that almost, it feels like an achievement in of itself. Just some really cool things as they did here. Now again, all indication is that this is the only Fallout we're going to be getting for a long time. Todd Howard earlier this year said, "I'm going to avoid putting dates on anything in regards to Fallout 5. That's the only confirmed new Fallout game we have at the moment. There's been some rumors and stuff going on about maybe some remasters, but those have just nothing ever came of it. So it could be that those projects never actually were real things." Now, we also did see Todd Howard back in May saying that they would like to increase their output with the Elder Scrolls and Fallout because we don't want to wait that long either. The thing is, I've said this for years, they should have a studio dedicated just to Fallout and then a studio for the Elder Scrolls. I'm not sure why that hasn't been something that, has been worked under Microsoft yet, but it feels like it's long overdue, especially after the success of the Fallout TV show. It feels like there would be more of an impetus to make sure that this is happening. Now, Todd Howard also said this in May, that there's nothing to talk about in regards to Fallout 5, but he said that Bethesda is in plans for future games, and a lot of people looking at that remark as games. Could this mean a spin-off from Obsidian, Arcane, In Exile Entertainment, a different studio? That's kind of the question on everybody's mind, but the big thing about that is that even if there is a new studio that starts development on a new Fallout game, still going to be about 4 or 5 years. It's still going to be around 2030 until we get that, which I think is the expectation some have for an inevitable Fallout 5, which could take longer, assuming that the Elder Scrolls 6 is still years away. Now, Fallout London right now, as I've said, it is blowing up. We have this article, Shack News, Fallout London is a treat you shouldn't miss out on. I completely agree with that. And then, yes, many have been pointing out that this just makes a lot of people desperate for another New Vegas, another spin-off experience. But I would say that London kind of achieves that with its content and its overall quality, which again, it's just astounding that this even exists. Now, if you are curious about Bethesda's response to all of this, they have hired developers over the years, brought them into their own Bethesda team. I said before, I think that's really, really cool, but they have actually said absolutely nothing in regards to this mod's existence. The only thing that they've actually done is highlight some of their paid mods for their creation club. That's the only thing we're going to get out of them. The only time that they'll talk about the modding community is when they financially benefit from them through their creation club, which make of that as you will, I suppose. Now, the overall gaming community is over the moon that Fallout London even exists. I think it took a lot of people by surprise with this release. It was pretty darn sudden, but it's also just the fact that the quality is there. This is something that so many of us have been waiting for, and it's finally happened, and there's possibly more on the way. Never forget Bethesda. This is on the Fallout 4 London subreddit. So many people applauding this mod. Sir, another DLC-sized Fallout mod is at the Nexus, and again, there's more on the way. Hopefully those end up hitting the finish line like Fallout Miami, and hopefully they have the same quality. I'm not sure if it will be the case, but I certainly hope so. Another person saying, I'm having a blast playing this. Bethesda better be taking notes for damn sure. And another person saying, after 20 hours of play time, there's some bold statements that they need to make. Fallout London is one of the most important mods ever made in video game history. Scope, ambition, and story development would make this true, even if its execution hadn't been almost perfect. But what the team have delivered is a deep, challenging, loving rendition of an iconic location presented with all the authenticity of a genuine Bethesda release. And the big thing about this game is also 20 hours in, they're not jumping on the nostalgia. They're creating new stuff themselves. This is something that Bethesda themselves have struggled with. They rely heavily on stuff that they didn't create, the Enclave Brotherhood of Steel. But the Fallout London team created new factions, new gangs. They're all very interesting. They all have their own personalities, quests, and such. And I'm just blown away again that a modding team did this. Now, as it continues, Fallout London devs hand out math homework to players who are suffering from a bug that lowers their health points. Now, this is the big thing. Fallout London is a technical mess. It has a lot of problems. I've not encountered too many bugs, but crashing and infinite loading screens is something I have run into. Restarting the game, that's kind of been a fix. There's also Buffout 4, long loading fix, high FPS fix. Those are a couple mods and Nexus mods that you really just need to have downloaded with Fallout London. But the big thing is that a lot of this is connected to Bethesda, their own engine, their own game. This isn't necessarily a problem with Fallout London. It literally is just the technical mess that Fallout 4 is. Blame it on the Game Rio engine, which is the creation engine, and Creation Engine 2 and Starfield. Fallout London's project lead is not taking the surprise drop of Fallout 4's update well. That has, for lack of a better term, screwed us over. This was about a couple of months ago, and a lot of people kind of scoffed at these remarks, but I think a lot of people don't understand the backstory about why the London team has been so upset with how Bethesda handled the next-gen update, and this is a feeling from the overall modding community. It's because Bethesda implemented a new next-gen update, had tons of new content, well, not tons, but had some new content, and they also introduced some fixes, but the problem is they also broke stuff, and these things are still broken to this day. Fallout 4 Next Gen Update breaks crucial mod, but players have found workarounds. The problem is that this is only working for some mods. There are some crucial mods. If you edit NPCs in Fallout 4 right now, you are hit with a massive stuttering problem, and I guess it gets worse if you have more and more mods downloaded. There's evidence of this we're going to go through, and I think people need to understand the reason why you're having to downgrade to a previous edition of Fallout 4 and why it is such a hassle is because of Bethesda. It's because they didn't think any of this through. And I understand that, you know, them communicating with the London team, maybe that was a little much, but also, come on, they were hiring their own developers for their own team. They couldn't have reached out and said, hey guys, we're going to be dropping the next gen update soon, just to let you know. But yeah, I understand that some hold the position that the fact that Bethesda is letting this exist in the first place is more than enough, and I suppose. But this opinion is one that a lot of people hold. This is a viral tweet on Twitter from a prominent Fallout community member, TK's Manus, saying, "I think it's kind of shitty that Bethesda hasn't acknowledged Fallout London at all. They poached a large number of their American team, released an update right when it was going to launch, and now that everyone loves it, radio silence. Biggest Fallout mod of all time, by the way." And then Danny O'Dwyer, who did a documentary with Bethesda, he worked with them on that, he said, "I think it's incredible that Bethesda allowed them to promote and release a project called Fallout London. I suspect the second they officially acknowledged it, 1,000 IP lawyers would be forced to descend on it. Also, are you criticizing them for hiring modders? Christ." And again, that's an opinion that Danny O'Dwyer and some do hold, and it's an argument that I do think is valid, but at the same time, I don't think that IP lawyers or everything is going to go crazy just if Bethesda put out a statement saying, "Look at this fantastic mod, our community is great, thank them for creating this." They could have done something like that. I don't think this would have turned into absolute chaos or madness. And this specific post on the Fallout 4 London subreddit is an example of the major issues some players have run into. There's a health bug, but there is a workaround here. There's also a damage bug if you acquire some certain items. All this stuff is currently being worked on. They're going to have fixes in the future. But yeah, there are some workarounds, fortunately, for some of these bugs. And yes, the intense difficulty you get in Fallout London, some of that is unintentional, but I do think the fixes that come are going to keep some of that there, because I think they like the fact that this is harder, and a lot in the community do appreciate that. I think they wanted that from Fallout 4 in the base game. But again, underwhelming Fallout 4 next gen update finally getting fixed. This was what Bethesda said a couple of months ago, and it just never has happened. There is no fix for the major issues some players have run into, and this has led to some of the most popular Fallout 4 mods downgrading the game to skip the next gen update, which is what Fallout London has done. And the easiest way to downloading playing Fallout London is through the GOG store page. You end up having to buy the Game of the Year edition for Fallout 4, and then it's a pretty darn easy install after that. There are some other additions I mentioned earlier on, some other mods that you definitely need to have because of the technical issues, but other than that, it's simple that way. When you get to Steam, there's a lot more steps, and there's been a lot of controversy with how that setup is having to be. But again, this is because of the fact that Fallout 4 is a technical mess right now, and it is pretty much broken, and that is because of Bethesda and what they did with the next gen update, which, say what you want, but the new content that they included, it just wasn't worth it. It didn't really seem like they put a lot of effort into it, which again, you compare it to what this team has done here, it's kind of laughable with Bethesda supplied players. Now, a prominent Fallout YouTuber, Juicehead, perfectly outlined what exactly is happening with Fallout 4 right now, and why it has devastated the Fallout London team, and why players are being forced to downgrade.
Fallout 4 is currently broken, and actually has been broken for months now. If you install a mod that edits NPCs' face gen data, your game will begin to stutter. This is a Bethesda issue. They introduced this issue with the next gen update for Fallout 4. So for Fallout London, this is an incredibly frustrating situation. They had to delay the mod because the next gen came out right around the time of the mod, but then they can't even use the next gen version, otherwise your game would just be stuttering from time to time. So instead, the first thing you have to do is downgrade Fallout 4 to install Fallout London so you could play without stutters.
And yeah, this has been going on for a while. We have various Reddit posts, Fallout mods subreddit, talking about these issues, the stuttering problem. So many people just saying, did you upgrade to the next gen update? Because this is the result. This is what you're going to run into. And then, yeah, other posts, again, mentioning all of this. The more mods you have, the bigger trouble you're going to run into. And it makes the game pretty much unmoddable right now, unless, again, of course, you downgrade. And we did see the unofficial Fallout 4 patch, which, again, Bethesda with their unofficial patches, modders have always been cleaning up these games. They've done it for years. The mod publisher confirmed the source of freeze stutter lockup in next gen update present in the unofficial Fallout 4 patch, and any mod that edits NPCs. So this problem is going to continue on until Bethesda gets around to fixing it, and it's been months. It's been a couple months now, and nothing has happened, nothing has come of it, which is very, very unfortunate. Fallout London team released a statement just the other day. It was pretty much a massive thank you to the community, as well as saying that they are working on patches, some updates to come in the future. So definitely some of the problems you're running into, if it is bug related and such, they are on it, they're working their best. And they have talked about in the future possible Xbox release. I don't think it's ever going to happen. The London dev did speak. They said, we want to speak to a decision maker at Bethesda. Again, I just don't think that this is ever going to happen, and this is only going to be a PC release thing. thing. There's also been some other technical things that Todd Howard and such have talked about in the past that indicate something of this massive scale probably isn't even possible on the Xbox at this point. Maybe with Starfield and some other future games that'll be possible, but Fallout 4 doesn't seem to be. It would be very, very difficult for them to make it happen. And then yeah, there's the problem of Bethesda even acknowledging this mod project, which they haven't yet, and it remains to be seen if they ever will. Now before I do wrap up this video, I do want to give a little bit of a highlight of one of my experiences with Fallout London, being 20 or so hours into this experience, because it's easy to list off all of the accomplishments, all of the different areas that London does a great job with, you know, enemies, weapons, armor, quests, and so on and so forth. But there was one specific quest that really stood out to me, and there's many of them, especially with side content. There's one with like German soldiers you meet on a submarine. That's really cool, but this one is a specific one from the main quest line that I thought was just a great example of the brilliance behind London. And it's that we eventually are told that we need an endorsement from a man named John Strutter. He's a ghoul with a standing in the area of Camden, so we go to Camden's catacombs and find him in a pile of boxes and paperwork. He's trying to prove his innocence after a corrupt, hated politician ruined him. He needs evidence or a statement proving that he was done wrong. So we travel to Westminster to assist Strutter in his mission, who is skeptical will have success. We have a few different ways to proceed forward with this. We can speak directly to the politician and ask him to do the right thing, in which he basically laughs in our face and the mission has failed. And we have to figure out how to get this endorsement a different way from the leader of the group that John Strutter belongs to. We can also use a charisma skill check to lie to him. This then opens up more dialogue, which requires higher charisma or other skills to properly convince him to sign the statement without really looking into it. Then we also could just strong arm him into signing it. We also could avoid any conversation with him, go straight to his room, lockpick his door and then his master's safe to discover incriminating evidence that we can hand to Strutter. Multiple ways to proceed forward or to fail, because if we get the statement signed by strong-arming the politician and we tell Strutter about it, the mission has failed as he knows it's pretty much a useless document now. This is some of the brilliance behind Fallout London, and this is coming from a modding team. We don't see a lot of these skill checks, the use of our build in Fallout 4 or even Fallout 76 to this extent, and that's why I definitely appreciate what the modding team has created here. And again, this is just one quest, this is one example of it. There's all kinds of cool things, cool ideas throughout the experience that I truly applaud that this even exists right now. And it's a reason why I think Fallout London is an absolute must for everybody to check out, especially those who are eagerly awaiting some new Fallout. You know, many of us have been waiting for Fallout New Vegas 2 for years. Doesn't appear that that's going to be at all happening anytime soon. So for the time being, we have Fallout London and hopefully some other mod projects on the way. But anyway, have you been playing Fallout London? Do you plan to? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.